Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires is no one. That's right, Joe Crazy Writer is taking his annual after spring con vacation, so he was not available to record. However, because I think ahead, I've got this here fill-in episode. And this was made back when we thought Joe would not be able to record and I wouldn't be able to get enough fill-ins. And thankfully, we got enough fill-ins. So this is from back in November of 2018. Remember that far-off time? We were all so much more innocent then. Anyway, it's myself, Joe, and Dangerous Dan Mohr getting together at a place called Broadway Pizza in Richfield, Minnesota. And we pick up with us ordering our pizzas. I am ready.
I'm ready.
What would you like?
I am going to go with a small 5-topping perfect pizza. And I'm to dazzle you, right?
Okay.
Okay. Cheddar cheese, black olive, fresh spinach, onion, pineapple, and Roman tomatoes.
So 6 top. Onion, pineapple, tomatoes, black olive, spinach, and the cheddar cheese. So you want an extra topping in there?
Nope, you can remove the pineapple then.
So cheddar, onion, black olive, spinach,
and Roman tomatoes.
And
there we go.
Which one am I missing? Okay. A small one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sharing it with these monsters.
I don't want what you just ordered. Can I get a small shrimp and garlic, please?
Sure.
I will do a small pepperoni, black olives, green peppers.
Pepperoni, black olive, green peppers.
Yep.
You got it.
She's good. She doesn't need to write it down. Me, I'd be like, what? Roman?
I don't remember what I ordered now.
Add bacon.
The problem is it's going to come back with Greek tomatoes instead.
Those are okay.
Train.
I didn't know there were Greek tomatoes, but you know, tomatoes are tomatoes are tomatoes. They're all out of a can anyway.
They just had a different name in Greek.
Yeah.
I think they called them olives.
Never seen a black tomato. Seen other colors.
Because you live on the white part of town. This boy is white baby.
Look at where I'm from.
Pickle capital of the world.
The what capital of the world?
Pickle.
No, that's where I live now, where I'm from.
Bloomington, Illinois.
No, Fairview.
Oh, that's right.
Bloomington had people in it.
And it's where Colonel Lake was from.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We were proud of that because it was within driving distance. It's not like anybody was from Fairview, although there was one astronaut who came from Canton. Mm-hmm. You would have thought, I thought he was the greatest astronaut in history, the way they talked about him where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And really, he was just, you know, wasn't even on one of the big missions. Just kind of, yeah, he circled the Earth, that's it.
At least he wasn't on one that blew up.
No.
No, wait, let me get this straight. I want to make sure I got this straight. So you guys were very proud that a fictional character came from a town that you could drive to.
You have no idea what small town life is like.
I don't know if I want to know what small town life is like.
I grew up thinking that the book Spoon River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters was this well-known classic that everyone had to read. You leave Central Illinois, people are like, Edgar Lee who?
I was going to say, what book?
Yeah.
No, what book?
And it's not a nice book. It's about, he wrote a number of poems based on the tombstones around Spoon River. And it's all about how horrible small town life is and how horrible the people who live in small towns are. But because it was published, I guess, we all had to read it.
You went around and stole things from tombstones?
Well, just
to make poems out of them?
Yeah.
See, proof. Cory's horrible. He comes from a small town.
Yes. The cleaner is a horrible person. Don't you realize I'm not a hero? I'm a villain.
You know, the thing is
I'm a member of the villain club.
He says that, but meanwhile there are women all across the United States salivating at the thought of Cory showing up cleaning their house. And they're more than willing to hate him beforehand.
I'm used to that.
He just underestimates just, how many women want their houses cleaned.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, and yet on a Saturday night, there I am, watching the previous week's football game.
I keep offering to let you clean out my backside.
I didn't invite the puppet.
He's always here, informed. Where'd the train go? Ooh, chugga, 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 chugga. Here it comes.
We might as well do kind of an introduction. We're at Broadway Pizza for Panels and Pizza, episode 191.
Yes. Take that, Adam. You abandon your shtick, we pick it up.
That's what we do.
I like the fact we're using the original numbering scheme.
Yeah.
Legacy numbering is what Marvel is all about. Or DC too, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, when Wrestle Crap became the RD and Blade show, we stole their crickets.
The train's stuck. I will save it. No, I better not die.
We are at Broadway Pizza, where they've got a
very
model
slow-
train that wanders around the restaurant.
Okay.
Yep.
A little bigger than Lionel 3-rail, just going round. But now it's stuck. I'm most sad.
Maybe it's doing the delivery.
We could have gone to Mama's Pizza. They're voted the best pizza in Minnesota.
Dan picked the pizza place.
Picks his nose too. Doesn't mean I'm going to help him with it.
But you always do.
There is that.
Look, you said, where's the pizza place? I said, well, there's Broadway, I know that.
What is that?
What?
What's that?
Which one?
Is that his left hand? I don't think I've ever seen it before. I thought it was mythical.
No, this is just me naked.
Whoa.
Well, if you're listening to this episode, we have been hit by the dreaded deadline doom.
No, we've been hit by the dreaded surgery doom.
Same
Because
thing.
at the time this will air, I will probably be recovering from my hip. And Cory, who thinks he's going to podcast during the week, the 2 weeks he's off, has no fucking clue that his eyes will be pretty much swollen shut. Because I know people who have had the same operation he's going through.
Which one? The eyelids or the cataracts?
The eyelids. Cataracts are usually pretty easy. You're a little scratchy maybe, but you see instantly. But the eyelids, oh dude, you are... Again, make sure you have someone to give you a ride home because you ain't seeing nothing.
Well, it's not like he needs to see the podcast.
If you want a preview, punch yourself in the eye about a dozen times. Because
That's what I do on Friday nights.
I know that's just to get out of work, but you don't do it
And it doesn't work.
way too much because you can still see. That's what I'm telling you.
What worries me is I'm pretty sure he doesn't do it to get out of work. I don't want to know why he doesn't.
That's because he likes to walk. He's been inspired by the months ago Bat Dick where he can walk around his compound naked and he keeps walking into doorknobs which are right at dick level. And it's,
Or
he bends over right on the dresser or the washer.
Or in stealing the panels and pizza gimmick, I want to be Daredevil.
You don't look good in red.
I don't look good in most colors.
There is
Well,
that.
let's
Why
put
wear
him in the
black?
yellow and black then.
So why did Adam abandon the podcast?
Because he now lives in Iowa and he can't go out for pizza with people. Unless he wants to have panels and pizza, the Phil Hester series. Because he's the only guy who lives around him.
I'm sure Phil wouldn't mind. That's damn selfish of you, Adam.
Well, Adam, I think you should just grab random people off the street and tell them that they're an artist.
I think he should just do a podcast where he talks to me about the Fantastic Four.
No, that would suck.
I think he should doff the costume and be the cleaner Iowa division.
He has a girlfriend.
Not after being the cleaning Iowa division. I went.
Yeah, but he likes her.
I
You better hope they're together when this drops.
That's why God gave us editing.
So other than listening to us eat Pizza? What are we going to talk about?
Well, I was
It's got to
thinking.
be timeless because obviously fat dick jokes will be worn out by then. Not if I can help it, but
I have a feeling you're going to be doing them till we're dead.
I didn't get to the balls yet.
That's the cleaner's job.
And who knows? By the time this comes out, maybe the second issue of that magazine, that miniseries might be out.
I take it it's delayed.
They've already delayed it once.
They probably got to go over it now, make sure there's no more, little things hanging out. That was actually the comment on the way over. I had hit a bunch of comic shops before I got to Broadway, and of course the closest shop is Hot Comics Richfield. And one of the guys was talking, I was a little disappointed. I thought he'd been a little bigger. And I was like, yeah, you'd think for a guy who's a playboy, he would be, I mean,
You got the money, you don't need the package.
I'm not saying,
I'm not going to make a single Trump joke.
I'm not saying Ron Jeremy size. I'm just saying, even Adam West had something to hide.
I thought we'd talk about which was better, the original or the ripoff.
Well, definitely Adam West.
And to make you guys happy,
Are you buying?
Transformers or GoBots?
GoBots.
Well,
Fat.
well, actually, now they're the same universe technically. So really, GoBots are in the Transformers universe now.
Yeah. Nice try, Strode.
Which one was first, though?
Oh, good lord! I just had this argument with somebody on your Facebook feed.
Yeah, but this is months later. No one will remember that.
God, now I have to try to remember what it was. It totally depends on what you consider first, because
In Japan or
It's
United
what is
States?
is.
yeah, because
Japan or the United States?
the toys in Japan came out first for Transformers. GoBots came out a year later in Japan. They both came over here. The GoBots cartoon started a year prior to the Transformer cartoon, and the toys came out at the same time.
Didn't they have a problem with producing the GoBots, and that allowed the Transformers to win?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think that was on that Toys That Made Us, whatever, from Netflix. They were talking about how the GoBots. The problem was both lines were so hot that they couldn't produce the GoBots fast enough. Transformers had the same problem, but
and the GoBots, it was sort of because a different company owned the toys than the cartoon. So technically, the Hasbro can't produce the toys even now, but Hasbro owns the cartoon and character rights.
yeah.
So-
I think it's not Bandai, is it? They own the molds.
Yeah, Bandai owns the ones.
Bad Bandai.
Yeah.
And after Transformers, they ain't giving nothing up.
No.
Now, is Bandai merged with Namco, right?
That I'm not sure of. No, in Japan, I'm not sure. I know they joined with Tanako or something like that, which was what originally had the GoBots.
Because I thought when I open up a Pac-Man game, one of the new ones, it says Bandai Namco. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No,
but-
I wouldn't be surprised. So
So, does that mean Pac-Man is in the Transformers universe?
Could be.
depends. The toy or the TV show.
The video game.
Oh, the video game? Don't just shake your head at me. They can't see that.
That's why I said the video game.
I know you said the video game. I don't care about the video game. I cared about the fact you were nodding at
So the
me.
answer is Transformers. Even GoBots don't want to be GoBots.
But if they're all in the same universe,
Well,
that means when Pac-Man eats one of the power pills, he's more powerful than Optimus Prime. Because can Optimus Prime eat ghosts?
Yes, actually. There's a Ghostbuster Transformer crossover.
It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon all over again.
it could be.
And Transformers have crossed over with Star Trek.
And Star Wars. Yeah, the series that's about to release, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
it has
actually...
released by the time this dropped. I actually just picked
yeah.
up issue 1 just to take a look at it.
Was it the animated Star Trek?
It's the animated Star Trek in the 80s cartoon.
So we get to see that three-hand guy.
I was thinking more, we get more Moress. I like Moress.
Which one was Moress?
She's a cat lady.
Oh, yeah, she's going to be on the cover of issue 3, I believe. Riding Bumblebee.
You never wanted to be a Volkswagen before, right?
Well, let's go with a different pairing.
All right.
Hey, we're not done with
Actually,
Transformers
you
yet.
know what?
Fine, keep
I
going.
was going to say it's kind of moot now because Disney pretty much owns everything. So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm waiting for the mega crossovers of all crossovers.
Well, we could have got that back in the 80s if Marvel would have got the rights to DC Publishing. Which almost happened.
Yep, no, I remember reading about that.
Except Marvel's lawyer kind of went, we're already being sued for monopoly practices.
Got being sued.
But I've, in my own head, just gone through what the timeline would have been, what I would have done if I was editor-in-chief.
Of Marvel DC?
Yeah.
Or DM?
No, I would have kept them as separate universes, kind of like how they had, DC had Earth 1 and Earth 2. I would have kept
2 and
DC.
Earth 1. They did everything.
Well, that's right. Earth 2 came first.
Yep.
Earth 2 came first.
Good lord, they can't even count.
No.
It's not a question of what it was when they got discovered.
What's the last chicken wing?
The train stopped. I'm most upset.
Oh, the train's going. I don't think
Yeah.
they turned it off in the back, so
You're going to have the chicken wings, Dan?
someone's got to eat
Don't be
them.
chicken.
There he goes.
They're all yours. Take them home.
I don't know where to put them. Yeah, a play would be great.
Just one in each pocket.
I can be a double
I don't
Batman.
understand why.
But
these
no, I would have
dogs
kept
are
DC as its own universe, done the reboot thing that they were already planning. That's where Man of Steel by Byrne came from, Batman Year One from Miller came from.
George Perez, Wonder Woman.
Yep. Done all of those, and then use Crisis to kind of create the new DC universe and build up to a crossover between the two. Oh, we have pizza.
Secret Wars.
Silver, at least go like this.
Because yours they had to get a specialist for it.
Yeah. That's how it always works.
Right?
I'm always a problem child.
Need any of the sauce before I run away with it?
No, thank you.
I'm always the problem.
I like sauce.
Well, then you should have taken some.
I'll give you some sauce.
Just get back under the table.
Alright. Yeah.
Are you going to go with the next one, or are we just going to eat?
Next one I have is actually the first one I thought of when I did this. Namor or Submariner?
Alright.
All right.
Thank
Get
you.
you anything else right away?
I don't think so.
Keep you busy for a little while? Mm-hmm. Alright, enjoy.
Hey,
So the question is, though,
did you say Namor or the Submariner?
Yeah, probably.
the
Say,
question
isn't that the same guy?
Submariner or Aquaman?
the question is what are your parameters here?
Which one's better?
Well, in what? I mean,
You
can
can
say
create your own parameters.
Aquaman's better known just because everybody likes to ridicule him.
And he's getting a movie.
But see, we're doing this before the Aquaman movie's out, so we may, by the time this drops, we may be going, "Oh my God, Aquaman's the coolest thing since the universe." So again, it's kind of hard judging it. They've certainly done more interesting things with Submariner. The exception being Peter David writing Aquaman. I mean, he did a really kick-ass Aquaman series.
Well, in the 60s, Aquaman got married and had a kid.
Yeah, which
Heroes
they
didn't do that in the 60s.
boring.
So did you, but that didn't make you good.
Not in the 60s.
I don't know what time it is.
Have you seen
I
the way
was
you dressed?
5 when Woodstock happened, okay?
Have you seen the way you dressed in the 70s? Anyways,
Yeah, I wore a t-shirt and blue jeans. We lived in Central Illinois. Disco fashion didn't hit there till like 83.
I can't picture you in the t-shirt and jeans. It would always constantly have to. You were born in a freaking vest.
Well, I eventually wore flannel.
so round table. Aquaman or Submariner? Now that we've driven this subject.
No, this asshole just put him in a flannel in my head.
I'll eat that if you're done.
Joe has seen me in all kinds of flannel shirts.
I've seen him.
I don't want to know what.
I've seen him without shirts.
I don't want to know what Joe's seen you in.
Pain. He's seen me in pain.
There's a reason why I look at people's underwear at the airport trying to get images out of my mind. It's not because I volunteer to.
Aquaman or Namor?
I would say Namor, just because I don't like the fact that he's the first mutant. It was kind of more fun when he was just like he used him as a monarch, especially some of the interactions in the Black Panther series.
Yeah.
I can't see Aquaman going to war with anybody.
Well, I can see him going to war with himself. I mean, it would be the weirdest war in history, but, you know. A bit like Trump, actually.
Why does Black Manta hate Aquaman anyways?
Aren't they related now?
I don't know. I barely pay attention in the 52.
Wait, Black Manta or Black Panther?
Black Manta.
Oh.
I'm switching universes liberally.
I thought you said Black Panther hates Aquaman. I'm like, what?
He might. I'd never asked.
Well, I know he's not a fan of Namor, so maybe he just hates all water people.
Well, yeah, he's a cat and they're talking about water. Okay, I'm definitely too tired. I'm more talkative than I am.
I'd go Submariner just because they've done better stories with him. You?
I was going to pick the Submariner too, because Submariner, even back in the 40s, he was just pissed. He wasn't really a hero. The only reason he was, you know, kind of in the Invaders and the All-Winter Squadron and all that is because he hated Hitler more than he hated America.
You're talking about a guy who basically sent a gigantic tsunami and flooded all of New York.
True enough.
And he gets his memory back, and he says, "Oh, let's see. The Human Torch gave me my memory back. I'm going to go and get a giant sea creature to kill everybody."
Thank you.
How about you, Mr. D?
The thing is, I've never really read much of either of them. I like a lot of jokes that they make about Aquaman and stuff. But one of my favorites is there was I can't even remember what magazine it was, but they did a big crossover of the her at the time current Justice League going back and meeting parts of the Friends, the Super Friends.
Okay.
And Aquaman just says, "All right, I'll stand in a corner until water somehow comes into the episode."
Did even VE from his varsity sweater. No, wrong guy.
So
I
guess
did not do drugs growing up, but I watched an awful lot of television.
Oh, yeah. And you watch the cheap stuff, too, the Filmation.
Oh. So I guess Aquaman for me, just because I've gotten more humor out of it.
All right. What's next?
How about The Flash and The Wizard? No.
Oh, God, we should say that. I gotta go to the bathroom.
The Flash and Quicksilver.
Flash. Again, Peter David made Quicksilver interesting. Didn't make him any likable. But,
Well, he explained why he was a jerk.
yeah, the world was moving in slow motion to us. Like, you know how you're standing in line and the lady in front of you is like busy counting her change and dropping stuff? That's how my life is. Everybody's slower.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we're talking 616, not that perverted Ultraverse universe.
No.
Or whatever.
Oh.
Ultimates.
I still don't know how they got that past Ralph Macchio.
It was only sibling love.
Still, I don't know how they got that past Ralph Macchio.
The Karate Kid.
Yes, the Karate Kid.
Wasn't he on Happy Days too? No, it was Ralph Malph. Sorry.
That was Scott Baio.
No, that was a Muppet.
We'll have lunch tomorrow.
No, that was Ralph the dog.
Wrong type of Flash.
Scott Bale's coming back in a TV show, by the way, which will probably be canceled by the time this drops.
Yeah.
One can only hope.
Actually, I think it's a Netflix series, so whatever.
I thought he was going to get named to the Supreme Court.
I think he's next in line.
After Kim Kardashian.
Yes.
Yes.
But Kim doesn't want the job.
Way down at the bottom.
You don't know that.
Too much reading.
Roll up the top.
You don't know that.
Well, she has to sit all the time. She just wants to show her butt off.
So they should be.
I don't know. She could get that robe specially made.
Just without a backside.
So what do you say, Flash or Quicksilver?
If you don't find it, let me
Actually, probably the Flash as well. But the one that I actually like is the I can't remember who wrote it, but
No, Flash, not Flasher.
no.
I got double check.
No, I love the Flashers, but no.
Get back on your table.
Oh,
you.
yeah.
the it's the Flash where a future Wally West comes back and he wears like a black. They did it as a dark maroon, but it was it's supposed to be a black outfit. I liked that one just because he was kind of a darker character. But the only good thing about Quicksilver is I like his sister.
Only when George Breastroke.
Oh, no. John Byrne drew her well, too.
Ron Lim.
Neil Adams.
Cory?
Sorry, I'm still thinking about Neil Adams drawing the Scarlet Witch.
I'm thinking of oh God, what the hell's her name? The one that plays it. The one that plays it in the movies.
Oh, isn't she one of the Olsen twins?
Not one of the Olsen twins, but it is one of the Olsens. It's their younger sister.
Oh.
So
Up until Mark Waid took over the Flash, for me it was Quicksilver, and this is such a teenage boy reason. Quicksilver had limits to his power, and the Flash could do anything. And when I first started reading the Flash, I didn't like that, because, he can run the speed of light, he can move his arm fast enough to create tornadoes,
He can move faster than the speed of light when he wanted to. He outraced Dr. Light once.
he can vibrate through walls. I like Quicksilver because he was just fast. But then Mark Waid kind of explained the power and made the Flash more interesting. And the Flash was involved in what I think is the worst long-run story in the history of comics. The Trial of the Flash,
okay.
which lasted almost 2 years.
Wow.
And was so boring.
Yeah.
Which in real life is probably how long the trial would have lasted. But
Yeah, but real life isn't a superhero comic book.
it isn't?
And it's, he killed Reverse Flash who was trying to kill his wife.
Yeah, no self-defense. This isn't a stand your ground. And plus, they were running.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they even know who Reverse Flash is?
Yeah, it's the
He killed somebody, but we have no idea who it was.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
I didn't bring my list.
You better check it twice.
You want your list? I have it here.
That would be wonderful.
What I want to know is what did they do with the body of the advanced drone from the 24th century or 29th century? The one that was made by the doctor's hollow emitter and 7 of 9's nanotubes. And then they actually had a body of species 8412 that committed suicide while on the ship. What did they do with that body?
Excuse me, what did they did? What was 7 of 9's tubes?
Go back onto the table.
Oh, yeah.
They tied her tubes.
Keep her mouth full. And did you see how thin she was? How did she eat? I'm not talking the character. I'm talking Jerry Ryan. Good Lord.
Well, they vacuum sealed it.
Sorry,
in
I
that damn costume.
didn't have a lot to do. I've been watching Voyager Borg episodes. So, anyways,
Well, isn't there one of the digital channels here? I forget the name of it, but it's like Star Trek all night long.
Yeah, it's they do an episode of each series in a row. Yeah, my dad was talking about that.
which I don't care because I have them all on Netflix. So,
Except for Discovery.
Yeah. Well, they don't show Discovery on that
No.
one either. No, my dad said that he's been able to watch most of the up to Deep Space Nine because he keeps falling asleep before Voyager.
I actually want to go back and watch Deep Space Nine again because that was the one I really liked. I love that series.
Me too. It's my favorite of the series, but I will always start at season 3 because I didn't really like the first 2 seasons.
I'm trying to slough through season 1,
It's hard.
and I took a detour because I thought, okay, I'm going Borg. I just wanted all the Borg episodes, you know.
If you start with I think it's season 3, episode 1 is where they get the Defiant, and that's when they start going into the.
Well, I think is that the
Dominion
same
War.
time that Worf showed up?
Yeah, it's a season.
diets.
Sure.
It's the season before. He shows up at season 4.
I think they did that because ratings were. Plus, it was syndicated too. It was often tough to find it.
Yeah.
We were lucky because we had Next Generation on, I think, Channel 11, and then Channel 9 ran it like right afterwards. So it's like you just switch channels. They might have had a thing saying you cannot run it against another Star Trek. And
Well,
of
if I
course,
remember right, Next Gen played on one channel Sunday night and then another one later in the week.
Deep Space Nine.
it was Saturday.
No,
It was
Next
Saturday.
Generation played on
It
one
was-
channel Sunday night at 10:30.
It was Saturday, Sunday because my buddy saw part 2 of the Borg episode, you know, before I did. Because I said, dude, you coming over? He said, I saw it last night. I don't want to hear about it. So, you know, because we were like watching it, and he's like, it's going to continue. No, they never continue. Star Trek had a problem with like wrapping things up in like the last 5 minutes and then fire. Dun, 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 to be continued. Which in my mind, I think was the first time outside of Dallas that they did that. The season ender was a cliffhanger. Then all of a sudden, every show started doing that. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Well, I remember people lost their minds. I went to the College of Comic Book Knowledge the next week,
oh,
and everybody,
had a theory.
it was new comic day. No one was looking at the comics. They were all sitting around the counter going, well, how's the Enterprise going to get out of this? How are they going to bring Picard back?
And they're like, well, what if Q comes back? No, that would be kind of a cheat.
Well, I remember they were pretty much, by the end of the discussion, Riker will be the new captain. This is how they're writing out Picard.
Now,
Well, that's what they were doing at the time.
yeah, because they weren't sure if he was going to sign.
And now he's got another series.
I know. And someday I'll tell you how I would do the series if I was. I have the whole first episode. That's how I go to sleep. I do a series, and I just kind of map it out and put the Easter eggs in. And I'm like, this just can't get it out of my head. I'm like, I just got to write this down just to get it out of my head.
I do that like with novel ideas.
Yeah.
I never write them down, but
Then I'm in. I never finish it, and I'm like, the next one. So, anyways,
So you have to start over the next night.
pretty much.
yeah.
Although I keep getting a little further involved. Anyways, what's next on the list?
Let's see. The next on Corey's list, I will be announcing it because Corey doesn't have it on his phone, which I don't understand.
Yeah.
Look, we're way
You don't
ahead
have
on the
email
pizza.
on you?
We're way ahead on eating pizza. Corey's got to play catch up.
Yeah.
See?
Vision versus Red Tornado. Joe.
Again, until the last Vision series, I thought he was lame. I mean, he was just whiny. He was pathetic. You know, yeah. He was banging Miss Silver, or what's her name, Scarlet Witch. But I never really related to the character. You know, he was just, I'm cold and emotionless. And then, of course, we've talked in the past how John Byrne totally destroyed the character. And then he became, I think, wasn't there a run and he became like
Yeah, he tried to
wanted
take over the
criminal?
world.
Yeah, whatever. Then who came out with the series where he did a family?
That was the Tom King run.
Yeah, that made Vision more interesting. He was kind of interesting in Avengers AI, but not enough for me to finish the series. I just kind of drifted off after issue 6. But that Vision series that King did was fantastic. Red Tornado's always been kind of a milk song. So, you know, oh, I just, woe is me, woe is that. I have a elemental inside me. I have an adopted family, but nobody likes me, blah, blah, blah.
The elemental
Everybody hates
inside
me."
him never made any sense to me at all.
Wait, Red Tornado's Cory?
Pretty much. But he doesn't clean anything.
You know, you can bite me.
I'll do it.
Go for it, Wolfie. Anyways,
Back
Yeah.
under the table.
again, the way Red Tornado was, he just wasn't that interesting. So for me, even before Tom King series, I would have had to go in Vision.
Back in the 70s when I started reading comics, I always thought the Vision was kind of a Spock knockoff.
Oh, I can see that.
It was I'm a synthezoid and I don't have emotions, but I'm being tormented by the emotions. And eventually they explain, well, that's because you've got the Human Torch's body and Wonder Man's brain.
Which actually made him interesting to me.
And then Byrne got rid of all that.
Yeah.
That's when I just realized what I was about to say. That's when he turned white, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that's actually happened, but that was just the way that came out. He lost his soul.
I never thought of it that way, but yes.
I have a pain behind my eye.
I can make it worse. Let's talk about the origin of Cable.
Another guy they just mucked up.
So we went and saw. We were finally watching Deadpool 2, and okay, have you guys seen it?
Not yet.
Yes.
Crap, I can't say anything about the.
Yes,
that
you
scene.
can.
All right, so at the beginning, of course, his girlfriend dies, and the first thing, and my wife, Jules, and Ishmael were sitting there going, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "It's a time travel movie. This is not going to stick." And they're like, "What do you mean it's a time travel movie?" I'm like, "It's Cable." "Oh, we don't know Cable." I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I had to pause the movie and go, "Okay, get ready."
Like when I was watching Avengers, and they shows at the end of it, I go, "Oh!" And he's like, "What? I said, "I'll tell you later." Oh well.
I still love the story I tell about my son once asked about the origin of Cable. I was 5 minutes in when he said, "I have to leave." But wait, his Cyclops and Jean Grey, whose clone was his mother, get put into
Okay.
fake bodies in the future to raise him.
Would you like me to retro-con it? It's okay. I thought of this right after Cable Extinction, where I forget the reason why, but the Avengers wanted to get Cable into custody and kill him, but he ends up getting depowered, whatever. And this is like right before Avengers versus? It was right before Avengers versus X-Men, if I recall right. Well, so Cable's sitting there depowered, all of a sudden, here comes the Cable we recall from X-Men 95, was it? 93? Mm-hmm. And they look at each other, and the Cable we know goes, "I failed. It didn't work. Sorry." And the Cable we know kills him. We reset, now he's back. We don't know what he's doing. He says, "Okay, I'm going to try to set it right this time." Everything you know is wrong, but the one you know is dead. Dead.
We all know how well being dead sticks when you're an X-Man.
But he's already alive. I mean, he's got the...
He had the fastest resurrection ever. He resurrected before he died.
I worked for Angels once. Didn't like it. Told him where to have it. That's how the Punisher came back.
What happened?
The Punisher went nuts, killed Nick Fury. He got better. And then they went after him and killed the Punisher. And the next thing we know, he was working with angels. He had like a symbol on his head.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There was maybe one series with it.
It was a mini-series drawn by Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah. So it had some chops on it, but the story, totally unforgettable.
Okay.
And then Garth Ennis brought Punisher back. And one of the continuity things I absolutely love, didn't do what we always rail on Byrne about, ignore everything because I want to start it here. He's just one paragraph. Worked for Angels. Didn't like it. Told him where to go. That was it. So he acknowledges, yes, there was a series, but I'm not going to deal with it. And I see that more and more where, like, to just one-line throwaways, to just, okay, yeah, it happened, but how often do you think, before I stop and eat with Cory, pizza with Cory, I have to stop and think, back in high school when I originally sat down to eat pizza, it doesn't happen.
Are you guys, either of you reading the Cosmic Ghost Rider?
Shit, I forgot to bring your Captain Marvel. Damn it. Oh,
Not yet.
Okay. I'm reading that.
But I know who it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
well, they showed that in Thanos, but
Yeah.
which
That's why I
thought
liked
was,
it.
which I thought was fun. I didn't buy the series though, but
The character's fun. I'm in the middle of the series. I mean, the series isn't done yet, so... Or you mean the Thanos series?
no, Thanos is done. There's
No, I know
There's a
Thanos
new
is
one starting, but the Cosmic Ghost Rider isn't done yet.
No. They're on 3 of 5, I think.
Is he in the current time, or is he?
It's actually a time travel story, so he's kind of hopping around.
Okay, because doesn't the current Ghost Rider like have a vet or something, or a?
Yes.
How's everybody
Yeah.
doing?
Good.
Good?
Good. So...
Boxes?
Oh,
For me, yeah.
I'm not done yet.
You are past the point of no return.
don't get a
have
box.
to
You don't
finish
get a
now.
box.
No, you don't get a box. He's almost at that point, too.
I will probably hit that point because
The
it's
point
been.
of no return?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to be the only one that doesn't belong to the Clean Plate Club tonight.
I came
That's
late.
what I'm hearing.
Well, I had to clean up the tray they wouldn't eat, except he's got those 2 things.
Really?
in it.
Because he's the guy that ate the last couple chicken wings.
Well, he's
so
got,
I don't.
he's got them in his pocket. It's
I
not
don't-
really.
I don't know that you can claim to clean up the tray because I saw him finish it.
He just likes to take my, all of my fame.
Right? All your credit.
Yeah.
All your glory.
But I have lunch tomorrow. What's your excuse?
I have
That's
it
like
bought
a
for me.
snack. That's not even
Pretty
lunch.
much. It'll be breakfast, probably a midnight
Right.
snack.
He'll eat it on the way
One
home.
box
I will.
probably, right?
Or he'll stop at White Castle.
Now we're talking. I had White Castles yesterday, by the way.
And you're still here.
I've been leaning this way for a reason. Cool.
Done for sure. Not gonna
Yeah.
forget it.
No.
Maybe.
I'll have to eat it on the way home. But now I got a cool box. Remember where I was to.
It'll be all greasy though.
I don't care. I'll save the top. It's got a train. Woo! So, in short, vision.
And I hope that helps. Oh, wait. All right, let's see. Now, I'm not entirely sure why you say one of these is a ripoff of the other because their histories are totally different. But Wonder Woman versus Wonder Man.
The name.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's a ripoff of the name.
Well, what it is, back in the 70s, they started doing stuff to kind of, because I think it started with Spider-Woman. The reason they created Spider-Woman was because there was a Saturday morning animation group. I won't say it's Filmation, but it was Filmation. Who was moving ahead with a Spider-Woman animated series, not having to do with Marvel. So Marvel rushed out a Spider-Woman comic as quick as they could to secure the trademark.
Okay.
And what was interesting, because at the time I was buying, everybody was, oh my God, there's a Spider-Woman comic. This is going to be as big as Spider-Man. So much so that the shops ordered tons of Spider-Woman, did not order any Howard the Duck. Guess which one went up in value?
But Marvel and DC did that to each other.
Which led to a great what the gig when there was a what if humor
What if?
issue where, what if
What if Power Man was a girl,
and Wonder Man was a woman?
was a woman?
And then the boss says, a distinguished competition, if you run this gag, we're going to sue.
I like it.
But they did that a lot with, different names.
It's not even a contest. I mean, well,
Yeah, Wonder Man.
no, I'd go with Wonder Woman just because she's got, Linda Carter. I mean, come on.
She's got TNA.
Damn, so she's got it nowadays, too.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
She's
What do
got
you-
it going on.
What are you, gay?
No, he's the cleaner.
Yes. Doing my worst Zap Brannigan. Anyways.
I'm turned on by Lysol.
Whoa. You must have a tough time at Target. This is the aisle.
I went last night and I had to spend 20 minutes in the fitting room.
And then meanwhile, like, come on, Strug, get out. We close at 10. Didn't I tell you not to let him in after 7? Jeez.
But there are Swiffers here.
So I'm all for the woman. Cory's the man. What are you for?
I was making a joke.
Transformers.
I was ignoring the joint. Yeah.
Although I did buy
Any
25.
more Mountain Dew?
Yes, please.
I did buy 25 issues of Wonder Man #1, thinking that it was going to be a hot book.
That was during the same time Pat and I were collecting stuff. So
I thought Jeff Johnson, the artist, was going to be the biggest. He was going to be the next big name.
Jeff Johnson
Yeah.
or John Jeffson?
No, Jeff Johnson.
George Jetson.
Yeah.
And it's written by
Thank you.
Gerard Jones. So now it's like, ooh,
Oh, well.
I want to have those.
Gerard Jones and Jeff Johnson did the first Wonder Man?
Yeah.
GJ and JJ.
Yeah. Okay. They should be doing George Jetson.
Well, Gerard Jones is doing a hard time.
Why?
Child porn.
I didn't see that in the first issue.
Which pretty much kills any chance for a Prime remake out of the Marvel.
And he got caught.
Malibu
He got caught in the
anti-heroes.
dumbest way I can think of.
7-Eleven?
No, he uploaded it to YouTube. That's where you're pretty much saying, just take me away now. Just put me in prison. I don't-
Alright, what's next on the list?
Oh, next on the list. What is it? I'm going to skip that one.
Which one's that?
Thanos versus Darkseid. One, there should be no question there.
I don't know. They've been doing more. Darkseid lost his zeal at the Earth 52, the new 52. He's just kind of a, they made him interesting because he was basically destroying universes, and then when he got to our universe, the Justice League, the original reboot, he got repulsed by the Justice League. That's what got them together. We didn't know that. But by the time issue 50 came around, him and the Anti-Monitor were fighting. And I guess this was the Anti-Monitor from the original multiverse. But they really powered Darkseid down, made him kind of a wimp.
I don't understand what he's saying. That was the answer I expected. Thanos is better. That's just...
No, Thanos was, up until Infinity Crisis, Thanos was a non-entity. Because he'd been dead for 20 years.
No, only about 10.
I thought it was longer than that.
Nope, 78 was when they finished the Thanos story. Then
No.
he showed up again in Death of Captain Marvel in 81.
Now, if you'll excuse me, we're going to have to pause this podcast as I beat the crap out of Joe.
Oh, you movie guy. I mean, come on.
No! Remember, my first comic was the Infinity Gauntlet.
It's not my fault you're bereft of any comic history.
No, I just got what I needed.
See, and that's the thing with these characters is like I said, Darkseid was much more interesting pre-52. I don't know if he could read Final Crisis, because, I read Final Crisis. I didn't get half the references. I needed Cory to translate why this was going on.
Okay,
Read the novel.
I haven't read the novel, but I have read the comic. I've read Final Crisis.
And you just
I
gotta
had
remember,
no idea what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. And, it started out, it's like, okay, the bad guys won. He'd won already a year ago when Grant Morrison did his, was it 7 Soldiers?
Yeah.
A victory? And nobody really knew what was going on. But as I go back and I reread the story, I'm like, okay, this is really cool. And granted, when Starling gets a hold of Thanos, it's cool. Mm-hmm. But now they're just like, Thanos is getting what I call the Galactus problem. Everybody has a Thanos story.
Yeah.
And it's just Thanos shows up, he's rough, he's tough, he's got an Infinity Gem, and then they beat him to submission and he goes away. So I'm hoping with the current Infinity War where Gamora beheaded him and killed him, although what did he say? Something like, oh, finally I'm home or something. They just let him be dead for a while because there's just way too much Thanos going on.
I find it funny because hopefully I don't know if hopefully they will, but the thing is there's a chance that they will. But I loved how everybody was like, oh my god, they killed Thanos in the first episode, or the prime issue of this. It's like, This is not the first time he's died.
Even he was just a little bitch in Secret Wars too. You know,
Yeah.
you have to give it to me. You know, like, what? This is Thanos? I mean, plus his continuity is kind of mixed up now because, like, well, I thought he was out in outer space. Next thing you know, he's being held by the ultimate new Avengers.
Yeah. I did like the Thanos series, though.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a letdown just because at the same time the editor and whoever the editor was screwed up and let Starlin and whoever's doing the series do kind of the exact same storyline. Mm-hmm. And their solution, basically cock block Starlin. Don't send him any copies of the graphic novel. Don't give any promotion. Don't. And I'm like, really? You're doing this to Starlin? I mean, why? How long do you gotta piss off your creators? I thought you got over that during the Image years.
Or when they wouldn't give Kirby his art back.
And granted, I haven't read the New Gods yet, but even I don't think Kirby knew what to do with Darkseid.
No, he did.
But nobody else did, because for the longest time, my impression was Darkseid. You go to planet and play footsie with Darkseid, he lets you go. But the next time.
That was more what other people
The
did.
next time, yeah, because nobody would pull the trigger to do the next time.
What I prefer Darkseid because Darkseid, again, much more complicated mythic backstory. And he wasn't your I show up and punch you in the face. It's no, I run a world. I have plans within plans within plans. My plan is to get the anti-life formula. Once I get that, I control everything.
Right, and that story was so amazing.
Yeah, it was.
That
We
was
finally got it.
that was Final
That's Final Crisis.
I know.
Yeah. Seriously,
I knew exactly what I was saying.
I read the book, the novelization, because I knew I wasn't catching half the references, and once I did, and it's much more interesting. I mean, Cory probably was salivating the whole time. You had to buy like 2 copies, right? One was all full of drool, and the other one was.
Well, you remember as each issue came out, I called. And
To me,
if he didn't answer, I would leave a message. Oh my God!
Oh yeah. But now that I know what's going on, it's like watching like a show like Babylon 5 when you get to the end and you go back and watch it again. You're like, oh my God, it's all there. I just didn't get it.
So the novelization's much better.
Well, it will help you, and then when you go back and read the comic will be much better.
And once you have that in your mind, you'll see in the comic, Morrison puts everything in the dialogue. It's all there. That's why when people say, well, I don't understand it. Well, this isn't something you can kind of half watch like Law and Order.
All right.
You have to read the dialogue and pay attention because he tells you what's happening. And with any Morrison story, he tells you the story, and then he expands it and tells you the story again, and expands it and tells the story again. He likes that structure. It's what he did with when he came on the Justice League.
Yeah.
Your first story with the
Although
White Martians, that was the whole story. Just, okay, we're telling it here, and it's just going to keep expanding.
Okay.
And that's why we brought in, more characters. All-Star Superman. He tells you the whole story of Superman. 4 panels, 8 words.
Boom here.
Morrison is a god.
Pretty much.
Boom.
Moore
farm.
would be a god, but he doesn't do comics for us anymore.
Who? Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
Oh.
He's not a god. He worships a snake god.
Garth Ennis is a demigod.
No, Garth Ennis is a devil.
Oh, okay, I'll go with that. That explains why the demigod part.
Oh boy.
Read Preacher. He knows hell.
I'm trying to, but I just discovered my daughter's got it all at her apartment.
All right. Next.
So, Darkseid.
Okay, it's a Kirby character. I knew damn well what you were picking.
Pre New 52 Darkseid, Thanos, as long as they let him rest for a while.
You guys need more to drink it all while you're hanging out?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Is that?
and Thanos all the way. I don't care what anybody-
duh.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Because he hasn't read the New Gods.
I haven't either.
So he doesn't know
But I
that
appreciate the New
Thanos is like a Xerox of Darkseid.
Yeah, we should give him DC versus Marvel.
I've read DC versus Marvel.
It doesn't hold up.
No. It didn't hold up when it was released.
Yeah, but it sold a lot.
Yeah, yes, it did. I bought the entire series.
Did you ever read, again, John Byrne, Galactus versus Darkseid? If I recall, this is the one. Was this the one where Byrne just showed up and said, "Here, publish
Yeah,
this"?
here, it's done. And it's Galactus shows up to
Eat.
Apocalypse.
Okay, yeah, I have seen that, yeah.
It's really. I mean, that's one of the few I keep to reread because it's just fun.
There are plenty of dark side stories that I actually like. I mean, it's probably not what you guys would like, but the thing, like, I like the Doomsday versus Darkseid short story.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
I don't know if I read that.
It was one of the Doomsday Prestige format miniseries that Dan Jurgens did.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was collected in a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that one. I thought that was really good. But I kind of do like the stories where you have that massive, powerful character who then finds one that can actually stand toe-to-toe to him.
Okay, what's next?
Sorry. Swamp Thing versus Cory's Man-Thing.
Excuse me while I settle down. Depends, is this with Gob on it or not?
Gob was actually another character that came out of a radioactive pool
You
in the swamp of
You
Citrusville.
insist on having a Gob on your giant-sized man thing. I just don't.
I see no gobs down here.
I'd keep looking.
Okay.
I don't think a healthy person has that.
Well, of course not. It came from a radioactive pool. I actually just read one of the Swamp Man-Thing stories that I read a long time ago that I had not read since. Iron Man Annual number 3. They just put it up on Marvel Unlimited. It's where Iron Man goes down to Citrusville because the locals have destroyed these solar houses.
That small town stuff we talked about.
Yeah, and he wants to invest in it. Well, these kids are playing superhero out in the swamp, and one of them finds the Molecule Man's rod
Oh my.
and becomes possessed by the Molecule Man.
All right. As
So-
these things happen.
So it's Iron Man versus Molecule Man, with Man-Thing kind of caught in the middle.
So kids, if you're in a swamp and you see a rod, don't pick it up.
You should be more specific. Some guy's rod.
Yeah, some short, bald guy's rod
God. Even if he's got
with lightning bolts on his face.
Meanwhile, Rod Sterling is there. This man just picked up a rod.
But I forgot how much I liked that story.
There were some good Man-Thing stories, but as a character, he's not really part of the story. You know, he's a reactionary to the story, whereas Swamp Thing drove the story. And of course, before Alan Moore, Swamp Thing, no. After Bernie Wrightson did it, no one else got the hang of it. But boy, Moore just flipped the world on its ear within what, 1 issue, 2 issues of Swamp Thing,
2 issues.
and just made Swamp Thing something. Even in the New 52, he's interesting. You know, Man-Thing. Did they ever explain why he started talking, or was that just?
That was just an R.L. Stein miniseries,
Okay.
and I made it to the end, and it's like, wow, I sure hope the kids who buy Goosebumps buy this, because this was terrible.
Again, so I forget the book. It might have been Doctor Strange or something, but somebody mentioned, isn't Man-Thing talking now? No, he hasn't done that in a while. they refer to it, but they don't dwell on it, because guys like me go, wasn't he talking before? Not anymore. Nobody was listening. So, yeah, you know, that's the type of continuity I enjoy. You know, just mention it, move on, don't dwell on it. You don't have to give me a 10-page sequence as to why Man-Thing could talk and why he couldn't.
So
Mustache
you
builds.
didn't like the 90s comics where they would do that.
What?
the 6-part miniseries explaining why the Hulk was had green pants instead of purple pants in issue 102 of the Hulk.
Well, if there's an uprising, maybe. So, for me, I would, again, put Garth Ennis on a Man-Thing book. I am on it like Oprah on a Broadway pizza.
Man-Thing for you, Man-Thing for you,
I'd say
Man-Thing for everyone.
we get more jokes out of Man-Thing. It rivals Bat-Dick, but now there's a crossover. But
Man-Thing versus Bat-Dick.
no, with Gob in the middle. I would say Swamp Thing.
I actually have no opinion one way or the other because I haven't read either of them.
The Heap.
Well, they're all kind of a knockoff of the Heap, which is a knockoff of the Theodore Sturgeon story, It.
Which was actually adapted for
Yes.
Marvel Comics. So.
For me, it's Man-Thing because Swamp Thing, as beautiful as the art that Bernie Wrightson did, it was more like, okay, here's Swamp Thing versus all the Universal monsters. Except they can't be the Universal monsters because we don't own the rights to them. And once Alan Moore's left Swamp Thing, I didn't find him very interesting.
I found him interesting until they aborted the story that
Rick
Veitch was
Veitch.
doing. They were doing a deal where he was kind of floating back through time. He'd been was it Lex Luthor?
Yeah.
They had Lex Luthor basically do something to get Swamp Thing out of the way because he had not only had he taken over Gotham in a 2-issue story, but he had threatened Metropolis and Superman stopped him. And the powers that be were like, okay, he's getting too cocky. So Lex Luthor designed something in 2 minutes and bam, they shoot the gun at him. Swamp Thing's going back through time. He's running into various characters. I think the big one was Demon, wasn't it? Different versions of the Demon.
Viking Prince, Tomahawk.
Yeah. Where they drew the line was there was an issue where it was approved by editors to be, and I don't know who balked, but he was going to be in the Garden of Sorrow where Jesus Christ was praying, deliver me. He was the angel.
Gethsemane?
I don't know,
Yeah.
but he would have been the one to comfort him.
And wasn't he also he was in the tree that they cut down to make the cross?
I don't know. Somewhere what I have.
No, I believe that was it because he was a
have-
plant elemental.
Yeah.
His consciousness was in the tree that they cut down to make the cross. So he was the cross that Jesus was crucified on.
I don't remember that, but I'd have to look at it because basically that's where the story stopped and they canceled it. And who's on it? Bissett and.
I know Veitch was writing
Yeah,
it. I don't
think-
remember who was drawing
I
it.
think Bissett was drawing it, and they just said, this is ridiculous. We were approved. We were told that you can't have Jesus Christ in a comic, even though a couple months earlier there was, I believe, was it Alan? No, there was a 4-part Phantom Stranger story where one of the stories was the Phantom Stranger is the wandering Jew. He's the one who mocked Jesus on the cross, and Jesus said, "You're going to wander forever." And he was fine, there. It was just he was not allowed in this, Vertigo comic, which was for adults only. Why? Because I believe there was a Swamp Thing movie coming out, or a TV show, or something stupid like that.
Probably.
Totally flopped. So they basically aborted the storyline. I tried whoever followed it afterwards, and it was unreadable. Almost until you got to the end. I forget who the character who was drawing it towards the end and writing it, where actually it got to be, readable again.
That must have pissed off a lot of Catholics.
It didn't. It never
They
got
aborted
published.
Swamp Thing?
But
Or
no,
Jesus? No, sorry. They aborted Jesus.
Yeah, it could have been. But I used to have that stuff in my collection, and then the Comic Buyer's Guide let him write out what the story was going to be, which was a big fight up with Arcade again by issue 100. And so I just cut that off, and that's where my collection ended. And I actually told him that once when I ran into him at a con, and I said, "Listen, this is where the comic ended for me. Well, not Veitch, but Bissett, because he was doing Tyrant, I think, at the
Yes.
time. So I said, yeah, I just put that in, and that's the end of my story. But, so,
See, for me, it's Man-Thing, because even though Man-Thing, as you said, he's not the driver of the story, he's the catalyst of the story. He's kind of, the stories are around him, so you could do any story you want with Man-Thing in it. He's also got much richer and deeper ties to the Marvel Universe. And now they still use the fact that he's the guardian of the nexus of all realities. And they've used that in places where he's shown up. And I think there's so much more they could do with that. Whereas Swamp Thing, he's so dependent on who writes him.
I don't think he's an elemental anymore, but he is hanging out with Justice League Dark,
Yeah.
which I don't read any of that.
In the Marvel Lego Marvel 2 game, they actually have Man-Thing, and you have to defeat him because you get tricked into revealing the
Nexus of all realities?
Yeah.
How would you beat him? Because that's
He's
one
a
of my
Lego.
favorite things
You
about
just-
him.
You just disassemble him.
Yeah,
Hit him
pretty
hard
much.
enough, and but he probably regenerates quick, so you got to get out of it.
Yeah, because that was the thing in that Iron Man comic. It's like, they have to introduce him, an alligator bites his arm, and, the alligator's mouth just goes through. And Iron Man tries to do, blast him and stuff, and it just goes through. And that's the thing, when they bring Man-Thing into the superhero realm, nobody's ever beat him because you can't.
Well, when he's a Lego figure, you can.
That's
Yeah.
not right. I disagree. I
made
think
of
it's
plastic.
wrong.
All right, what's next on the list?
Next on the list.
You're never gonna get Cory to give up his giant-sized man thing.
Damn right.
Jokes, just like I'm pretty much spent with bad dick jokes.
Whenever somebody on Facebook starts, mentions that somebody sent him a dick pic, I will always post, can I show you my giant-sized man thing? And there it is.
I don't usually follow with a gob joke, but that's just because you use that issue.
I don't know, there have been times I've used my omnibus
I see.
Yeah, that's what I remember every time is the omnibuses, because it's this hard man thing.
and it's heavy.
Yeah,
It's very girthy.
and it makes one hell of a thunk.
Yes.
So,
Who'd have thunk?
Deadpool versus Deathstroke.
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool.
I was talking with someone who said they're not anything alike, and I said, okay, Slade Wilson versus Wade Wilson. Wake up.
Yeah.
It's not like Rob Liefeld was being ultra creative. It's a mercenary named Wade
And
Wilson.
granted, when they decided to make him a clown, he got more interesting.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
when they started having him talk, basically, he...
Well, it was when Joe Kelly took over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because even the Mark Waid miniseries, he was just kind of your standard, mercenary with a bit of a smart mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Kelly's the one who made it where he breaks the fourth wall and he has the wacky.
He goes back in time, and they superimpose him on a Spider-Man comic with original art from who was doing art back then?
That was
Romita?
Johnny Romita.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I love the stories, some of the
Although
Deadpool stories.
again, when Marv Wolfman and George Perez did Teen Titans, Deathstroke was a much more interesting villain.
And when he had his own series, that first series by Wolfman was really
Yeah.
good.
But no, Deadpool. So it's just because of the damn movies.
Well, for me, it's because Joe Kelly made him unique.
Yeah.
Before that, it was. But Joe Kelly said, all right, let's do something different with him. And it really helped that he had Ed McGuinness. No, I hadn't seen his work before. But it was this wonderful mix of superhero and cartoony at a time when everything was all. Everybody was gritting their teeth all the time. His was more loose and fun.
There was a one series of his that, unfortunately, unlike you guys, I have no idea who wrote or drew these things. But they did a really good job, in my opinion, of doing the story with him, too. because he would be doing his crazy stuff in the beginning of the stories, and then by the end of it, it actually made perfect sense why he had done it. It had been preparing for something else. It was like, wait, what?
That sounds like the Gail Simone stuff.
Any movie that makes Calendar Girl a listenable song, okay in my book.
Best joke of that one, Happy Lent. Nova versus Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. And I'm going through the Nova series. The last one, that's actually more interesting. You know, tied into Annihilation, and they made the character more interesting. And you got the Bang Gamora.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Green Lantern by far.
Yeah, same here, especially once they got into the different rings, the spectrum.
Is that John's?
Yeah, Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that Marvel didn't get sued. Because the origin is exactly the same. Except instead of find the bravest person, it's okay, just somebody random. Which is what they did for the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. It was just, okay, you're here, buddy. But, you know, the Nova Corps.
Rotten to the core. How could you not like the name Rich Rider?
Yeah.
That's an awesome name. We need more writers in the Marvel Universe.
Although the thing I liked about him...
No, Thing wasn't a Green Lantern.
No. But the thing I liked about Rich Rider, all the other Marvel superheroes, their alter ego is the best at something. You know, Peter Parker's a genius. Tony Stark's a genius. Steve Rogers.
Hulk looks good in purple pants.
You know, he's a nuclear scientist. Steve Rogers. Okay, Steve Rogers really didn't have a personality or anything, and they really didn't even give him a background until like 1978. But Rich Rider was just average. He was an average student, wasn't an athlete. He was just kind of an average teenager. And boy, did they get rid of that way too quick. Because, oh look, his brother created a Sherlock Holmes robot.
Oh. Is that the brother that's the villain now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is your brother a villain?
I don't have a brother
He must be.
that you know of. Maybe I'm the evil twin.
He's the dirtier.
The messier.
Oh, I have her too.
Porter. So were you going with, what was yours then?
Mine's Green Lantern too, because even though, you know, again, until like the 80s, Hal Jordan had no personality whatsoever.
Yeah.
But then,
Those Flash backup stories were interesting.
well,
Some.
when Denny O'Neil did it, he was just kind of there for Green Arrow to yell at.
Okay.
But that was my problem with a lot of the DC characters. They were so bland. They had no personality. Tell me about Barry Allen's personality. Well, he's a police scientist, and he likes ties.
I didn't know they could bring that into a comic book.
Whenever he was in his secret identity, he wore a tie.
Oh. Oh, those type of ties. Okay.
Yes, those type of ties. Are there any where the knockoff is better than the original, like Deadpool? Knockoff's better.
I don't know. I usually don't look at characters like knockoff. Because usually you get an archetype, and then that pretty much covered it. Like, I mean, Batman. How many knockoffs of Batman can we think of?
35.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Shadow. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well go like, oh, Captain Marvel or Sentry.
How about Superman or Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel was nothing like Superman.
No.
I mean, he was...
He was sued out of existence for being too much like Superman.
Well, the sales were dropping.
Yeah, but they lost the lawsuit
They fought it for 10 years.
Yeah.
He got cancer because he was like Superman?
Reginald must be here.
Yeah, I've noticed the restaurant cleared out pretty fast.
See, I like Captain... If you go by the stories in the 40s, Captain Marvel's far more interesting than Superman. He's more fun, there's whimsy to it. Superman is just, all right, I need to figure out who to punch in the face.
Well, the early Superman stories were... He was a real SOB. He was always against authority. I mean, he fought the police more than you would think, considering what a Boy Scout he became later. I know Grant Morrison tried to catch that in the New 52. I don't know if he succeeded or not.
No, and I wonder how much of that was editorial interference.
Yeah, you can't have Superman be an asshole. Well, that's what he was when he started. That's why he was Superman, because he could stick up for the little guy and stick it to the authority and the power to be.
And also he came about in the Depression when most people thought the people in authority were the ones that had screwed them over. Rich people had ruined everything.
I remember Batman killed people on his first outing.
Oh, yeah.
A fitting end for their kind.
Papa Spank.
But we all know Papa. Out of strong
That's one of the early Batman stories where a woman's talking back to him and he just puts his hand over her mouth and goes, Papa Spank.
Oh, yeah. Besides, we all know out of the... If we're going to go with like a strongman archetype, Popeye.
Oh, yeah.
Although what he saw in Olive Oil, I don't know.
You're thinking of the cartoon.
I think I'm a sailor. Anyway.
That's the thing. He'd been out at sea for a long time.
All right, what else we got?
He only had one eye, and that was really, down with cataracts.
Hey. Don't say anything bad about cataracts. All right, we're still recording.
Okay, good.
We're at an hour and 16.
Well, let's do one more and let's call it a day so they can shut up the restaurant.
Well, before we do, what places we like that aren't restaurants?
I should know this, but then again, I've been recuperating for 4 weeks.
It's these guys, our sponsors.
Promotional consideration is paid for by the following sponsors. Our first sponsor is DreamHost.com. DreamHost.com has been with us since the beginning. They're the best web host in the whole known universe. And if you need a web host, and you do because, Facebook, Google+, everything gets hacked. But if you set up your own web page, it'll never get hacked. Unless you kind of make some mistakes or pick an easy password like password. But still, you can have your own web page. If you use the code KRAYZ, K-R-A-Y-Z, you get $20 off your first year. When you're at the office, do you often run to the vending machine for snacks? Those things are terrible for you. Instead, have snacks delivered to you. So go to Graze.com. Graze.com has healthy snacks that you can decide what kind of snacks you want, how often you want them, whether they get delivered to you, or if you choose them every time. I myself get the subscription box every 2 weeks so that I have healthy things to eat when I'm at work. You can get a free box by using the code CORYS3R5P. Matter of fact, use that code your fifth and your first box are free. Again, that's CORYS3R5P. If you'd like to advertise on any of the Solitaire Rose Podcast Network shows, you can. Just send us an email at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks.
Got to work that in.
Yeah.
And, at this point, I'm doing 6 podcasts. Who knows how many I'll be doing by the time this thing drops. So,
There's your White Castle.
I'm going to need to edit that. What was it? I was watching a football game. Was it a football game?
Ooh, sorry.
And the announcer, one of them farted loud enough you could hear it on his microphone. And it's like, thank God for live TV.
Just leave it. They expect that from me. How's your eBay, Joe? Next.
But who knows how many podcasts I'll be doing by the time this thing drops. Well, I'm going to talk about them right here.
The Solitaire Rose Radio Network has all sorts of podcasts. We've got Scrabbling Across the West with Dave Cafell and his lovely bride, Stephanie. They travel across the country playing musical gigs, and at night they sit down to play Scrabble and talk about their day at scrabbling.solitairerose.com. There's Novelcast over at novels.solitairerose.com, where I take the novels that I've written and turn them into audio podcasts. Currently, we are doing a novel called Do the Job, which is a murder mystery set in the world of 1980s professional wrestling. Then, over at badadvice.solitairerose.com, me, Cory Strode, and Wolfie B. Bad, along with Dan Mohr, give bad advice to people who send in questions. That's bad advice over at badadvice.solitairerose.com. The Solitaire Rose Radio Network is growing. Be there!
That's a new year. I might even do a solo Joe.
Last time I mentioned Solo Joe, he left the room.
That's it. I'm out of here. Forgot my pizza.
So let's do one last one. Dan will pick out what he thinks is the most interesting of the ones that are left.
Teletubbies or Zumba Boomba?
Well, I'm not sure because most of them.
The Wuggles.
What's NWO versus DX?
Whoa, that's a tough one.
NWO, the New World Order,
Uh-huh.
and DX, Degeneration X.
Well, it's obvious. Glacier.
Are those
Well,
comics or
no.
wrestling?
Wrestling. Glacier's
Right.
just, your world
World's
is about to change.
I'm sorry, there's no better gimmick, and they muffed it. You know, I'm sorry, just
Okay, Joe, NWO or DX? Dan gets to sit and stare at us while we talk about this.
I would say NWO just because it was so shocking when it happened. I mean, Hulk Hogan turned bad. And
it was an entire invasion angle.
Yeah.
They played it off as if WWF had invaded WCW to the point where WWF actually threatened a lawsuit if they didn't have these wrestlers
they
say,
had to have-
we're not part of the
we're not
WWF.
part of it. We're not part of it. Because what happened was Scott Hall suddenly showed up on WCW programming, and he had just been on WWE programming.
And what was his line?
I don't remember.
You know who I am,
Oh,
but you don't know why I'm here.
and
And he was in his WWF gimmick.
yeah,
He didn't have the vest, but Scott Hall he's from here.
Okay.
he used to do a Magnum PI gimmick because he looked like Magnum PI. He was a good guy, Scott Hall, and he was Razor Ramon, the Yo.
He
in
was doing
WWF.
the Scarface.
Yeah. And then they got in his face, and I don't know if it was a wrestler, and he got really pissed. Said, next week, I'm bringing a friend. And all I remember is they were talking, and it's like, who is it? Who's your friend? Who's coming? And behind him came Kevin Nash, and you
Who's
can't
7
see it.
foot tall. Doesn't, how most 7 foot tall guys kind of look a little stretched? He looks like a bodybuilder.
There's a
who's
reason-
just 7 foot tall.
There's a reason why he was in there was a movie a while back. He was one of the strippers in the movie because the guy still has it. And the look on his face was like, ha! You can't see it, but open eyes, wide mouth, say, ha ha! And it scared the snot out of Eric Bischoff. Yeah! And then, of course, they were alluding to the fact there's a third member coming. And so they got everybody thought it was Sting. They got it to the point where Sting...
Well, they also pushed that it could be Randy Savage.
And all I know is they got Sting so pissed off that he just left. The big match was...
Bash at the Beach.
And on one side it was Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and it was...
And their mystery third partner.
Then it was Savage. I can't remember who else.
I know Flair was there.
And they were alluding that Sting was going to be there. So basically for a while it was 2-on-2, and then of course the bad guys were ahead, and then Sting came out and cleaned the clock out of Nash and Hall, and then he just kind of blew everybody off and left. And then,
And the bad guys are winning again.
oh, they're big time winning, and then Hogan comes out, and everybody's like, yeah, and he's wearing his yellow and red trunks. and people are
Except for
cheering.
one person.
Well, yep.
He's coming down to the ring, and they're like, WCW saved. It's Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is here. And Bobby Heenan said, but whose side is he on?
And they ignored him. And then Hogan got in the ring, and leg dropped, I believe, Savage, wasn't it?
Yeah, he always beat up Savage.
Oh my God.
Savage never got a win on Hogan.
He turned on him. And Heenan was, I told you, I've been telling you for years, you can't trust the guy. And he had them. And boy, the audience went berserk. Just booed, boo. And behind the scenes,
And it's the first time I'd ever seen on a pay-per-view, they filled the ring with garbage.
oh yeah,
They were throwing full cups of beer, everything. Now, I'd heard that they did that back in the 60s and 70s when people thought it was real. But with WCW and WWF, you would go and it's a show. Nope, people were throwing shit in the ring.
Oh. And they encouraged it for a while until they realized, okay, someone's going to get hurt.
Well, they encouraged it till the chair throwing incident at ECW.
Yeah.
I've
There
shown
were-
you that, right?
Yeah, there was
Where they call for a
Yeah.
chair and they start throwing chairs and they never stop. And they bury the wrestlers in the ring.
Because there's a couple of scenes where, like, I think it was Kevin Nash goes forward a step, and behind him just this cup of beer. Like zooms right by him. But yeah, I mean, people were just livid. I mean, that just drove the company. The problem is it became, okay, who's going to be NWO, who's not? And
Well, you had that. You had who's going to switch over to the bad guys. But you also had people were jumping from WWF to WCW. Vince didn't have guaranteed contracts with anybody at the time. To the point where, there was, Rick Rude was on both shows one night because they had filmed Raw. And he showed up, Nitro was live. He showed up on Nitro.
and he had shaved his
He'd shaved
mustache.
so to show that it was newer. And he talked about, on the other channel, I'm blah, 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 blah. But I'm here now.
And the only and there were other factions, like the Horsemen rose up again. There was a whole angle with Diamond Dallas Page. I appreciate you asking, but I don't want to do it, bro. But what happened is the NWO never lost. They never, they were the bad guys, and what the core thing in wrestling is, the bad guy eventually gets defeated. He may keep his title, he may jump the good guy and beat the shit out of him and leave the ring. He probably gets banned from the territory. But week after week he waited, and they never lost. And it just, eventually the angle just got long in the tooth, and just...
They didn't know what to do next.
Nope.
It was a lot like the Clone Saga in Spider-Man. In that it was really hot when it started. And then it kept going because the sales kept up. And eventually it was like, crap, everybody who was involved in this is gone. The story they were going to do, we can't do now because it's a year later. So it just kind of fizzled. Whereas with DX
was hilariously funny.
they were internal bad guys.
Yeah.
But they were the ones who, they were the ones starting to do dick jokes and starting to do that. And
there'd be like, I'm going to describe it because you can't see it, but it'd be like you had China, with very muscular and, artificial.
Oh yeah, no, I know who China is.
And it was, Shawn Michaels would be like staring at her chest, and she'd look over and he'd look away, and then he'd stare back. And they were doing that while Hunter was giving the promo. The best one, and WCW really boffed a good opportunity. They showed up live at a Nitro in an army tank with a gun and demanded to be let in. And they show as they're driving down into the auditorium, somebody shut the door, big steel door down, and wouldn't let them in. if I was Bischoff, I'd have said, let him in.
Bischoff said if he would have known.
Oh, he didn't know.
No.
Oh, I
In
suppose
his
because
book,
he's
he
busy.
said he didn't know.
He's busy running the show. Oh, but that would have been such cool television. And you know the WWF would have been like, oh, you guys just. But it was hilarious.
But they did little things on the way up. You know, they had an authority figure that they could be rude and obnoxious to, and it was Sergeant Slaughter, who they called Sergeant Slobber, and they made jokes about how he spits when he talks, to the point where they got the welders' masks. So whenever he would talk, they would flip it down. So that but they did stuff like that. But I think DX worked better because they gave. You know, they lost at times.
Yeah.
And they knew Steve Austin's going to be the big star. We are, you know, as long as we are fighting him, we're going to be on top, because Steve Austin's the guy who's selling all the t-shirts. Whereas the NWO, it eventually became everybody was a member of the NWO. It wasn't cool to be in WCW anymore, so nobody was in. And if you've got bad guys and no good guy, it's boring.
Yeah.
And they did other factions. I mean, they had a NASCAR painted in NWO colors that ran, so that he was part of the NWO. The original three guys branched off. They were NWO Red, the Wolf Pack. There was I forget who the Japanese guys. He was NWO Japan. You know.
Yeah, that was part of New Japan. And New Japan, they were smarter about it because they'd done Invasion Angles before. They had where, you know, the bad guys almost took over, but then the heroes of New Japan eventually beat them back. In NWO, they won, they got Nitro, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
They had a big pay-per-view where whoever wins gets control of Nitro. And the NWO won, and they did one episode where they tore up the set.
And they
then
spent like 20, 30 minutes changing the set. No announcers, no work, no wrestling. Just everything WCW is being destroyed, NWO is being put up as the most boring 40 minutes of television.
And then the next week, everything was back to the way it was.
Yeah.
With no explanation.
You know, and they brought DX back.
Oh, it was the Punisher problem.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, they brought DX back. It was funny because Shawn Michaels, who had in real life had a, what would you call it? Reborn?
Yes.
And so he was, they
Well,
were
he
kind
was
of
born
like,
again.
we're going out to like party at a bar and look at women. Don't tell Shawn that. He's like, guys, come on over. I got some milk and we're gonna be doing this. You know, and they're like, they're DX, but they're just trying to, you know, Shawn Michaels going along with it, obviously. They brought the NWO back, and they come on a pay-per-view, and everybody boos them, and that was it. They should have had them come down and win the tag team belts by cheating. And instead, they did an angle where NWO went up against, most ineptly, against Steve Austin, using Scott Hall, who's a real-life alcoholic, and Stone Cold's, you know, got him gagged, he's pouring beer on his head. And eventually, when they finally did come to a match, Kevin Nash blew out his leg.
Oh.
Yeah, he went down. The dreaded X, where the ref puts his X up. I don't know where Scott Hall went, but then
Rehab.
And then it was finally.
And the big problem they were having was when they'd come to the ring, well, these are WWF fans. They're cheering Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Real American hero. They wanted Hogan in the red and yellow.
And
They didn't want to boo him.
It finally culminated with NWO Hogan against NWO Rock. No, I'm sorry, just The Rock.
Yeah.
Because it was a great promo, because Hogan's in the ring and he's in his NWO gear, and then I think Rock come in the ring. You're in television, you've been doing this, you've been doing that. He's doing his act. How about, and he comes right up to Hogan's face, go one-on-one with the great one. And they just stared at each other, and the crowd just started cheering, and they just slow look, and they look back the other way, and they agree to do it. So when you get to the match, they come out and they're doing the same thing, And as the now Rock's the face, Hogan's the bad guy. But as the match went on, people started booing The Rock and cheering Hogan. And Cory can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a testament to just how professional these two are. They were able to change the dynamics of the match to allow Hogan to be the good guy.
Nice.
He lost, but they were able to switch it and play the crowd, and that's 90% of pro wrestling is playing to the crowd and allowing, go with what the crowd wants. Something that they don't necessarily do nowadays. Roman Reigns, I'm looking at you.
They put him back with the Shield, and they're cheering him because they love the Shield.
Yeah. But it's just amazing because they get out there and they're just I don't know how long they did it. 10 minutes. They just stared down and they would just look. Hogan looked right, Rock would look right, and they look back and they look the other way, and just the crowd just ate it up. I'm like, wow, I hadn't seen stuff like that since AWA days.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us.
We didn't decide. AWA or NWO or DX.
Oh, DX. NWO had a much bigger explosive start, but to me, the NWO failed because they didn't know how to end it.
And obviously DX because they got dick jokes.
Well, yeah. I mean, they did an entire episode where they just did jokes about grilling sausage.
Ooh, I'm on DX.
I think
All right,
I've changed my mind.
You can stay up.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us eat pizza and talk stuff for an hour and a half.
And we got one more fill-in to do, and then Cory will be back with new eyes. And he'll look around his compound and go, oh my God, where have I been living the last 20 years?
Actually, I'll look around and go, place needs cleaned.
You really do hate yourself, don't you?
It's the only way I'll be able to move, Joe. It's the only way I'll be able to move.
I ain't moving your omnibus.
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than, I don't know, comics starring the Wizard.
Oh shit, who's in the parking lot? It's Reginald. Shit, let's get out of here. Back door.
What's going on in here? I missed something. Is it still recording? Am I still recording? This is wonderful. They walked out.